In this video, we're going to take a look at a magenta ink by KWZ, their Maroon number 2. As always, there's timestamps down below so you can skip around, but if you've got the time, I'd appreciate you checking out the entire video. Also, down in the description is a link to all of the magenta inks in a playlist. I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. Let's get into the first writing sample done on 90 GSM Clairfontaine. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 15 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 19 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both show no color variation. We didn't expect it, we didn't get it, and the smear test says you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. To have a range of experience with this ink, all of the writing samples are done on a Jinhao 159 with a 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a medium, and a Jinhao X750 with an extra fine. Then a Nemesine Singularity with a fine nib was inked up, used for a day, and used to take the notes for this video. The next writing sample is done on 52 GSM Tomoe River. We have no bleeding, but some minor ghosting going on. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, 22 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 27 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show no color variation. We didn't expect it, and we didn't get it. And the smear test, you could not recover if you smeared while you were writing. I agree with Vita. There's a lot to learn by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. A line of ink is put down, and then it's put in the water for 10 to 15 seconds. And you see this very light kind of purplish tone at the bottom. It pushes up. We see a dark magenta and a very bright red across the top. Now the one on the right is allowed to dry for 10 minutes before it's dunked into water. And we see that that light purple really did gather at the bottom, stayed there with only 10 minutes, making us feel that this ink might have a little bit of resistance to it. The next writing sample is done on 80 GSM Rhodia dot pad. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 17 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 21 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation, and we're not getting it. But the smear test says you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it may be to clean from your pen. The smear is allowed to dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, there is quite a bit of spread that has occurred. There's a little bit of feathering that's occurring, but all of the information is fully readable, making you feel safe to use it in a note-taking situation if you want to go back and highlight. Water is reactivating and starting to pull a bunch of this ink off the paper, which is no surprise considering it only took water to get this out of my pen. The 1/3 bleach solution, the pen flush is starting to really remove this ink, and that kind of purplish tone at the bottom is looking a little bit more blue as it's left in the center there, but you're not going to need it. Now the 1/3 bleach solution completely removes this from the page. The next writing sample is done on life paper. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 13 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, and 17 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both are showing us no color variation, and we're not getting it. And the smear test you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average viscosity was 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. KWZ's Maroon number 2 has a viscosity of 2.21, making it normal. If you're interested in how the viscosity is tested and all that's done, then there's a link to a video down in the description. The next writing sample is done on Levenger paper. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is quite a bit lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 9 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 11 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show no color variation, and we're not getting it. In the smear test, you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average dry time was 17 seconds, and the realm of normal was 13 to 21 seconds. KWZ's Maroon number 2 has an average dry time of 20 seconds, making it normal. The last writing sample is done on Franklin Christoph paper. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, and 7 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 10 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both show us no color variation because there is none, and the smear test you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. Instead of finding inks that look like KWZ's Maroon number 2, I'd prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I decided to go with a very nice blue from Callifolio Equinoxe. Now, if you'd prefer a different complement color, then down in the description are links to those playlists. So what do I think of KWZ's Maroon number 2? The very light tone at the beginning was something in the tines restricting the flow, so that wasn't so much the ink. Otherwise, this offers almost no shading, but a lot of tone variation. A rich ink that is a solid performance, and for me, a nice alternative to red. So what nib and pen will give the best writing experience with this ink? It's much more about what tone you would prefer, because it's very consistent in its performance, just the color variation depending on the pen. So I like the thinner line that's much darker from this ink from a wet fine. I hope you got something out of this video, and in the next video we're going to take a look at Roher & Klinger's Blue Marais.